SynxVX by Waves is a tool to align the timing and pitch of multiple vocal tracks. And there's no getting around it, it's very obvious that SynxVX is a direct competitor to Synchro Art's VocAlign. There are a lot of similarities and also differences between these two apps, and we'll take a look at that later in this video. First, we'll dive in SynxVX. This Waves vocal aligner uses neural networks to determine how to sync vocal tracks, and the format the app uses is of an Era 2 only plugin. This format has a lot of benefits when working with something that usually is more involved and requires an app to look at the entire audio event instead of reacting to smaller portions like with a regular plugin like a compressor, reverb and so on. Now, not every DAW supports Era 2, these are officially supported. Pro Tools, Cubase, Studio One, Cakewalk Sonar and Reaper. Now, Logic is also supported, but only when running the app on an Intel CPU or with Rosetta mode enabled. Logic Era ARM is still not supported, this is something Apple needs to fix. SynxVX basically doesn't use any CPU when you work with it. Only when the app needs to process, it will use CPU, and even then it's light. Latency is not a factor since Era is an offline process. Now, SynxVX has a very non-Waves pricing. Yes, it has $29.99 in it, but it is $129.99. It's also included in the Waves Ultimate subscription plan at no extra cost. So in this case, it's more like a plugin alliance type of launch. In comparison, VocAlign Standard costs $149 and the Pro version costs $349. This is the pricing you need to keep in mind when comparing between the VocAlign versions and SynxVX. Now, since SynxVX is an Era app, to get started you need to add this Era extension to the audio event you're working on. This works differently for every DAW. In Cubase you select it from a menu. Repeat this for every event you want to be synced, including the reference track. To get the sync happening in SynxVX, you need to select this reference track. Simply press Make Reference. Assign the other track to sync to this reference track. And as you can see, SynxVX is not limited to sync one track with one reference. You can add multiple audio tracks, and it even goes beyond that. You can assign up to 4 reference tracks and choose which tracks need to be synced to which reference track. This will be a big time saver when you need to sync up a lot of vocal tracks. SynxVX is ahead of VocAlign with how it shows all tracks in one window. With VocAlign you have to select the waveform in your edit screen of the DAW, there's no total view. The most time SynxVX will take is with enabling the Era extension for every track and the plugin doing its processing. By the way, this processing kicks in every time you do a big change. When you have set up everything, it's really easy to align the timing and the pitch.
Every night all alone, it's so hard to keep out all of my ghosts. Every night all alone, it's so hard to keep out all of my ghosts. To keep out all of my hard to keep out all of my ghosts. To keep out all of my every night all alone. It's so hard to night all alone. It's so night all alone. It's so hard to keep out all night all alone. It's so hard to.
At first glance, it looks like SynxVX is a pretty basic plugin for vocal syncing. But there are manual editing options. The first one is that on the reference track you can create so-called ignore regions. These regions will be ignored by the synced tracks. This can be good for instance, lead vocal and backing tracks, where the lead does a variation on the main melody and the backing tracks don't. Or when SplitVX is doing something funny with the pitch.
It's just slowly we're just fading.
This way you can avoid that the synced tracks get messed up. The second way is to use sync markers on the sync tracks. With these you can fine-tune timings easily. These markers create a sort of region wherein the time shift can happen, and you can adjust these regions. Outside of these regions, you can create more sync markers to fine-tune. One little help tool to align with sync markers is to enable the overlay. This is a nice visual aid. The third way is to use regions, and the way to do this is somewhat hidden. To use these regions, you need to create a section on the track in your DAW, so not inside SynxVX. I assume this is because of how Era interacts with your DAW. In Cubase, this is done by using the Split tool. Simply split the track to create the section you want to work on, and this is reflected in SynxVX. You get the controls you also get for the entire track to fine-tune a section. Before we continue, please make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already to stay up to date on the latest new plugins, and hit that little like button. SynxVX works great for spoken voice as well. Let me demonstrate during the sponsored segment of this video, which I dubbed 3 times.
DistroKid is the best choice for musicians looking to get your music onto streaming platforms like Tidal and Apple Music. It's fast, easy to use and affordable. Plus, with DistroKid you'll keep 100% of the royalties you earn and get unlimited uploads. Use the link in the description to get 7% off of your first year and see why so many artists are using DistroKid to distribute their music.
With dialogue like this, use only the time settings. Using pitch can give some pretty fun, weird results.
DistroKid is the best choice for musicians looking to get your music onto streaming platforms like Tidal and Apple Music.
Speaking about pitch, I was actually pleasantly surprised that SynxVX doesn't try to pitch up an 1 octave lower vocal, but tunes that track in its own octave.
In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say. In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say. In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say. In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say.
With this tuning and pitch syncing power, you can easily overdo it.
In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say. In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to...
Fortunately, you can adjust the amount of pitch and time adjusting per track. The difference with and without syncing is pretty big.
In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say. In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say.
Now, as a comparison, when I use VocAlign to these same vocal tracks, when I go as extreme with timing and pitch sync, I hear artifacts in the pitch.
Say, in spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say. In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say.
This also happens in the low end. Waves SynxVX does a much better job at it, in my opinion.
In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know just what to say. In spite of all the lies you told me, you don't know.
SynxVX should be compared to the $200 more costing VocAlign Pro. And if you're looking for a tool that does aligning, for me it's clear you need to get SynxVX. But as usual, try out the trials to find out which one fits in your audio toolshed the best.